Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we promised, we put all the big guns in one table for you. So I know you're going to have fun with this final panel for the day. Now, to moderate this very heavily armed panel, got loads of firepower, so we're going to have a very special someone to do that. He is the senior digital reporter at Astro Awani. So I'll turn the mic over to our moderator, Shafiq Shuib, to introduce his panel. Shafiq, over to you.
A very good afternoon to all of you. It's been a long day to all of you. This is topic 5, which is on Generation Y driving social media ahead, making microblogs as a powerful tool of communication. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Shafiq Shuib, a senior digital reporter for Astro Awani. And Astro Awani is Malaysia's first 24-hour news channel. And apart from that, as if working in the digital media is not enough, I'm actually the founder of MotivationMY.com. And MotivationMY.com is an online media partner for this event, which is Malaysia's Social Media Week. So first of all, let me introduce my speakers. First up, we have Jason Low, the CEO of TuneTalk Malaysia. Yes, a round of applause for Jason Low. And TuneTalk is under the Tune Group, founded by our very own Tan Sri Tony Fernandez.
Much cheaper than Digi or Hotlink.
Who uses TuneTalk right in this room?
Not a very smart audience, obviously.
They're shy, they're shy. And our second guest is flown all the way from United States. He is Jeremy Wallenberg, a social media strategist, Internal Affairs USA. He's the Director of External Affairs for the San Francisco Citizens Initiative for Technology and Innovation, an organization created to leverage the collective power of technology around civic action in San Francisco. And my last speaker, the last but not the least, he is, you know him, he's YB Khairi Jamaluddin. He is a Malaysian Member of Parliament representing the Rembau constituency in the state of Negeri Sembilan. And in 2012, KJ, as we would call you KJ, he was appointed as chairman of Perbadanan Usahawan Nasional Berhad, PUNB, which is Malaysia's premier entrepreneur development organization. So there you have it, the list of speakers. And this session is very close to my heart as well, because a few years ago, blogging was the main thing. But as we move on to 2013, we're all talking about microblogs. We're no longer about talking we're no longer talking about WordPress, Blogspot, but we're moving away from Facebook, Twitter. And right now in Malaysia, it's Instagram, it's Pinterest, it's Vine. I don't know how many of you uses Vine right now. And you have Google+. So the conversation has changed as well. And what I think we hope to achieve from this session is, you know, how we use social media to express ourselves. We tweet like we are at the Mama right now. On Instagram, it's Foodgasm. How many of you know the Foodgasm hashtag? Or food porn hashtag, like me? I tweet, yeah, like you. We share a lot of pictures like that. But how do we actually move up, elevate the conversation, the national conversation? How do we use, how do we maximize microblogging to elevate to the next level? Perhaps to give an advantage to yourself, to your business, to your personal brand, or perhaps to the community, because I believe that each one of us have our own influence. Whether you have 50 followers, whether you have 100 followers, 1,000, 5,000 followers, each one of us have our own influence in this social media arena. And how can we benefit our own community? And to a certain extent, how can we benefit the country as well? So that's why we have the panelists right here. And to kickstart this session, this very fun session, we're going to start with Jason Low.
Thank you. What was the question again?
There's no question, just
I'm kidding. It's very good to be here today. Thank you all for coming out. And to our fellow panelists, Jeremy and Khairi. I think we all know that the world is changing incredibly fast. Sometimes I don't think we can keep up with it. Social media right now has gone from what appeared to be kind of a dibble-dabble, you know, in certain certain parts of what the internet had to offer, into now being a mainstay for most platforms, for educating people, for getting your message across, for trying to reach people. But at the end of this, winding road, I strongly believe that we would do a disservice to all this infrastructure that's available to us if we don't have some engagement at the end of all this. Yeah, what are we trying to achieve? I mean, I know it's like your ear is leaking. It's almost like your ear is just leaking information into your mobile phone constantly. It's almost like you have ear diarrhea. It's pouring out into your mobile phone, and all you're doing constantly is saying, I'm in the toilet, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm eating. I mean, microblogs are fun, but there's a moment when you see too many nasi lemaks on a microblog. I know you had nasi lemak in the morning, okay? It's nice, I know. I had nasi lemak too. Look, that's nasi lemak after I've been to the toilet. Exciting. At some point, where's the engagement to real life? Yeah? Is it just a game to build numbers? I have interviewed many students, many young people who tried to come out and get a job, and I, as a marketeer, they come to Tune Talk, they say, I wanted to be in marketing. I open their CV and I say, look, where is your social media information? You cannot be in marketing in this day and age without having your number of Twitter followers and what kind of engagement you do online. What is it that we're trying to achieve? Is it purely popularity? I'd like you all to think about that, because at the end of all this, if there's no engagement in building communities, in enacting things that are real, for instance, I would liken it to an advertisement on TV, where you see that really hot girl, and she's walking along, and all the guys are falling all over her because she's wearing, Coco Chanel number 5 or whatever, right? That's an advertisement telling you that there's something in a fantasy world, that you see something, you perceive something. If you use our product, you will meet this girl. It's not real life. Social media is kind of the same thing, where we try to engage people on the social media platform, but unless we can convert it into real life, what meaning does it truly have? And that's where someone like myself, who's in the private sector running a mobile company, which is much cheaper than Digi prepaid or Hotlink, who rip people off all the time, we are simply trying to say that we try to build these assets that are available to us, which mainly stem from social media engagements, build them into real things. We will create an environment or an event where you will meet this girl, and you will get her number, and you will smell that Coco Chanel on her, rather than just having it in fantasy land, you know what I mean? So I think that engagement is what I would like to impress upon you all today, when you actually think about how you utilize social media for whatever you're trying to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason, for that fruitful insight into that. Please get Tune Talk, everybody. Free advertisement for you. But you can follow Jason Low 1 on Twitter, and there's actually a surprise for all the girls, right? Look at your avatar. Yeah, so do check out right now on Jason Low 1 on Twitter and look at his avatar. But then, in the meantime, we'll move to our second speaker. We'll have the Q&A session after this. So we'll move to our second speaker all the way from United States. He is Jeremy Wallenberg, Social Media Strategies, Internal Affairs.
Well, thank you all very much for having me. Thank you. It's been a long flight, so it's been about 21 hours. But I'm very much happy to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity, and to also be on this panel as well with both of you too. So I guess, I come at this from more of a political context. I've spent most of my career in different levels of campaign politics, working on policy politics, actually, which you can see a copy of one of them behind me. But then also working with state level, municipal, Mayor of San Francisco, President Obama on his first term in 2008. So I've sort of been able to see the trajectory grow of the use of social media and really a greater understanding. And I think, as Jason pointed out, one thing that I think is very important is to see where social media can return to being real action. So, to incorporate social media into the act of governing itself, and to be able to use social media, wield it to present civic challenges to community problem solvers that are out there in all of our communities across, and to learn the best practices from each community too, because all this information is out there. By essence of, Twitter started because, it was invented as a democratization of publishing, of everyone being able to do that. It started from just the idea of blogs in general. So, and now you can see, democratization of information, of publishing itself. So we all have this capability. We all have this power now. I think the interesting part, as Jason pointed out again, is to translate that to real action. From political sense, for example, on the Obama campaign in 2008, and we were just speaking about this as well, they spoke to some of the brightest minds in social media, people like the folks who founded Facebook, and they created their own platform for their campaign, and it's still in existence to this day. But the beauty behind it, it was called MyBo or MyBarackObama.com, is that it connected individuals, 30,000, countless thousands of communities across the United States to connect with one another, build teams, and then actually go out into the real world and make phone calls to their neighbors and knock on their neighbors' doors and talk to them about the issues that they care about in the campaign that they support. Another recent thing that I've seen, a group called Zocalo Public, Z-O-C-A-L-O, in Los Angeles, is a former group of Los Angeles Times and Washington Post journalists. And essentially what they do is they take real stories from real people, not written by journalists. They help edit it, and then they create a real live forum and community gathering, a real place to discuss what's online. So once they're taking what's online, then deliver it in the real world. And I think it's very important to make that connection and make that nexus happen. It's in terms of using it for government innovation, which is a lot where I come from, to be able to leverage the collective power of the technology sector as a force for civic action. There's new innovations coming. You can really engage the public now and have more of a two-way dialogue and create invitations for the public to participate. There's congressmen in America who create a platform where they put a piece of legislation, and people can go on and cross out things they don't like or edit the piece of legislation. What they get in return is that they are signed up to follow that legislation through the political process, and then other people vote on those likes and dislikes. So it's literally the people are now helping to craft legislation. In other ways too, 311, if you tweet 311, which is the general number for the San Francisco Department of Public Works, or it's sort of a catch-all for all the departments. If there's a problem, if there's a water main that's broken or a trash overflow, you can tweet your municipal government, and then they will go out and fix it and respond, and they'll tweet you back. So they've essentially made the people the dispatchers and the source of information. In the same way, you can also you can disseminate information in terms of for public safety. In Seattle, Washington, the police department is responding to tweets in terms of being able to look at public safety hotspots. And there's also a whole drive to connect, again, government to the people and back and forth and have a dialogue. So in San Francisco, Mayor Lee created the first ever municipal cabinet position of the Chief Innovation Officer in the Mayor's Office of Civic Innovation. And their job is they created this platform called Innovate SF, Innovate San Francisco, and they're starting to release data sets, and they're as part of the open data movement. So now in these open APIs, developers can go and start interacting with government data And what that does is not only does it keeps government transparent and open, and also creates a dialogue, but it allows economic enterprise to take off, because the private sector can look at this data that the government has but wasn't really using or just collecting and as a reservoir, and they can interact with it and they can build companies based on this data. I mean, we're seeing it happen. We're lucky in San Francisco that we have sort of, you know, a real sort of ground zero for social media. Twitter is down the block. Yelp is down the other block. Facebook's not too far away. They're not in San Francisco yet. Perhaps we can persuade them to come at one point. But there's 1,828 technology companies in San Francisco. That's quite a lot in a 7x7 area with about 40,000 people who work in those companies. So there's a lot of talent. And I think just sort of some takeaways that I've seen really work is to be able to display data very well. I think microblogging, if you can create a dialogue, create an invitation for participation, that usually drives a lot of engagement. And also if you can present data very well. So this is sort of a brief example, but you know, tax policy is not exactly very sexy. Tax policy is not exactly something that's easy to explain to people in general. I mean, it's pretty wonky and there's a lot that goes into it. So if you can, in your own way, be able to create a platform where you can share information in a digestible format, like an infographic, for example, like the one behind me, although perhaps if you could scroll it down maybe, if Aswin's behind there. So for example, there's Mayor Lee. So we show that to pass this tax policy, we had the mayor, we had all the board members, we have both parties and the city council. And if you go down, there's sort of the reasons why, and you can scroll through. But and so that's essentially where I come from. But I won't take too much more time. I appreciate you having me again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for introducing the Malaysian participants to what is happening, the conversation that's happening in the United States, especially specifically in San Francisco. But I think we'll save, we'll talk further about this during the Q&A session. And we'll move on to our final speaker for today. He is none other than Yang Berhormat Khairi Jamaluddin, the MP of Rembau.
Thanks. Sorry, politicians not very good at sitting down, so I'm going to stand up and this. I think, thank you very much, Shafiq. Thanks, Jason, Jeremy, for the insights. I wanted to carry on, continue, and add on from the perspective of a politician and how we approach the whole angle of social media and interaction via social media. So when I was asked to come and speak today, I thought I would try and distill what I've learned in social media into a basic social media for political dummies, 101. For any politician choosing to engage via social media, these are my personal lessons. Obviously, they're not exhaustive. And I've managed to distill it to the 8 C's, 8C, of political communication via social media. I'm going to break up the 8 C's into 3 categories. The first category is the approach that you need to make. If you are a politician who has never been on social media, and today you wake up and you decide, I want to engage on social media, that's the approach. What's the first C? The first C is you have to be constant. You have to be constantly there. You need to plug away at it relentlessly and regularly. No one likes a politician that sets up a Twitter account or a Facebook page, but only gets his admin to update his status once every other day. And even that is, you know, I have a meeting here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I think people, young people especially, are naturally skeptical and cynical of politics and politicians. And you want to show them that you're there to stay. They can choose to ignore you completely. A lot of politicians have presence on social media, but they're ignored. But if you show that you're constantly there, willing to engage, at some point, these people will decide to interact with you. And once you've done that, you've won half the battle. because you've actually drawn them into your universe, into your ecosystem, where they could easily have just ignored you as just background noise on their timeline. The second C with the approach, apart from being constant, is consistent. Consistency is very important. While you can target different niche groups via social media, you have to remember that everything you tweet, everything you like on Facebook is captured for eternity. I mean, you may be able to erase that tweet right after you've sent it, but you can bet your bottom dollar that someone's managed to screen capture that damn tweet. So you can't erase it. Whatever you do, whatever you say is definitely going to be captured. You accidentally send something or thoughtlessly send something and you raise it, but somebody will come back to you and say, YB, what's up? I've screenshot this, So you have to be consistent. If you are trying to pass different messages to different audiences, it's going to be very difficult with social media, so be consistent. People can check your levels of hypocrisy and backpedaling much easier these days. You can't say one thing to one crowd and something else to another without social media calling you out on it. Because social media demands you to be much, much more consistent. And you cannot say in the age of social media that you were misquoted by the newspaper because you actually tweeted what you said. It comes from you. So there's no longer this plausible deniability that, oh, I was misquoted by the newspaper because that tweet actually came from your Twitter account. So consistency is very important for any politician who chooses to go into social media. So that's the approach, constant and consistency. Second category is the attitude. What is the sort of attitude that you want to bring to social media? The first thing that I've learned, this is the third C, is that you have to be candid. I think people are looking for something different. You have to show personality. I mean, the critical success factor for politicians on social media, in social media, is that you're able to show your candidness and some bit of your personality. And of course, there is a thin line out there. You don't want to be, be too over the top and give hashtag TMI too much information. No one needs to know whether you're wearing boxer shorts or briefs today. But at the same time, you want to show that you are more than just a politician announcing press statements, prepared text, and also scripted talking points. You want to show that you're a personality that they can deal with and that they understand something more about you by interacting with you on social media than just by reading about you in the newspapers. Fourth C, and the second bit about the attitude, is conversation. And this is what a lot of politicians don't get. Social media is not a monologue. You have to engage with people. That's why it's called social media. And you have to be social. Of course, you have to pick and choose who you engage with. There are a lot of trolls out there, so you can't just pick a fight with everyone. Everybody who trolls you, you want to pick a fight with them because you will lose. You have everything to lose as a politician, and the troll has nothing to lose but everything to gain. So you have to watch out who you engage with, but that doesn't mean that you stonewall everybody. If there's somebody willing to engage with you and he's very sincere about it, you should go for it. And you should try to develop a conversation so that people will say, he is somebody who actually interacts, as opposed to just using social media as a one-way channel to just give a monologue and tell us what he thinks, as opposed to give the impression, at least, that he's listening to the public that he's engaging with. And I think this is a cardinal mistake that a lot of politicians make because they don't engage. And also the other thing is, please, if you're a politician, please do not just retweet compliments because it makes you look like a big douchebag. I mean, you have no idea how many personalities, politicians, celebrities do this. They only retweet compliments. It just makes you look like a dick. Sorry. My fifth C, my fourth C rather, fifth C. Now we come to the meat and potatoes of it. That was just the approach and the attitude. Now it's the real crux of the matter, for which I have 4 C's. The 5th C is content. Now, even though you've managed to project yourself as a social media savvy politician with swag, don't forget that people are not following you because you're a celebrity. Don't ever make that mistake. If you're a politician, you are not a celebrity. People do not like you. You're a politician. They follow you because you are a politician, and they follow you because you make decisions that impact on the nation. So because of that, you've got to make sure you have content. You have to back whatever you say up with hard data. People on SM, social media, are just a Google click away from checking out your level of BS-ness. I mean, if you haven't got the hard facts and data to back up what you're trying to say, they will call you out very quickly by just Googling whatever it is you said, fact-checking, and saying this guy is talking utter rubbish because he's just there and he's just spewing utter garbage and spin. So it's very important that you must have whatever it is that you want to send out there, however concise it is, even if it's just 140 characters on Twitter, you must make sure that it's backed up by hard facts, statistics, and data, because otherwise you're just background noise. People will not listen to you, and they may ignore you, and they may unfollow you, which is essentially death on social media. The sixth C is concise. Concise. You have to be concise. So although social media, there are many platforms of social media, we're talking about microblogging now, which is essentially Twitter. So for Twitter, if you're a politician, please do not use tweet longer. You're meant to get your message across in 140 characters. If you force an essay on Twitter, people are not going to take you seriously. You have to be able to dissect and make your argument in that 140 characters. If you must send multiple tweets about one subject, that's fine. But that's better than posting an essay on one tweet. And the same thing goes for Facebook as well. You don't want to use a Facebook update to write an entire article. And even if you're posting something on a blog, which is a bit longer, please observe a word count for yourselves. Do not think that just because it's the internet, it's not the newspaper, you don't have to have a deadline or a word count. A word count, you can just rattle off. You can write Tolstoy's War and Peace about poverty in Malaysia today. No, people have very short attention span, and as I said earlier, if you do not make it concise, they're not going to listen to you and they're going to ignore you. Seventh is contagious. You must be contagious. A politician succeeds when what he posts, whether it's a text